Alright, so today we're going to be showcasing Sukuna the King with this, Sukuna with his new familiar. We're going to be showcasing this character right now. This guy has Monarch, shout out to Flo. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to showcase it in Sandbox, and I'm going to compare his Sukuna with my Sukuna. So this is going to be pretty interesting. Alright, so this guy has Monarch on it. We're going to be testing it here right now and place down. So he's going to place it down right now. So this is his Sukuna right here with Monarch. Now, my Sukuna doesn't actually have Monarch, so that's a bit of a problem. It has 8,281 on placement. It obviously costs 2,000 to place. The familiar's passives are: this unit applies cleave on every attack and buffs all cursed units by 30%, increase damage by 200% and range by 30%. Anytime this unit first inflicts cleave on an enemy, immediately follow up with attack 2. So attack 2 is this right here, which is actually a full AoE. Upgrade to attack 2. So I just want to show you right now attack 2, by the way. Attack 2 is this one right here. Yeah, this one right here is this Mantle Slam. So it's full AoE, as you guys can see right here. The range is actually pretty good. This is how it looks like right now on my Sukuna. The range of this one's better than mine. And this is probably because this is this obviously it has Monarch, but obviously the familiar also gives an extra range, which is pretty nice. Now, all the way to max, I believe this will cost you about 96,200. In comparison to Gojo, that is actually more expensive than Gojo. So, upgrade to max now. By the way, there are certain passives that you all know that, with Sukuna that are only unlocked at certain upgrades. For example, these two passives right here are only unlocked at upgrade 8 and upgrade 9. At upgrade 9, which is the final upgrade, or yeah, at the final upgrade, basically 11, he becomes a cone AoE right here, which is actually not a bad cone, with the 6 to 8,000 damage. So that's honestly not that bad. He also has this ability right here. Now, upon activation, damage plus 300% for the attack. Sinister Sanctum cleaves enemies upon hit, damage plus 1% for each kill during Sinister Sanctum, up to 30% and cleaves enemies. So that's actually pretty good. Alright, let me show you guys his VFX right now because he does do follow-ups. So I kind of want you guys to see his follow-ups maybe. So, okay. This is his attack right here. That's the max attack right there, I believe. So right now, there's no enemies that are surviving, so we can't see his follow-up attack yet. But what we're gonna do is basically spam a couple of red ants here and maybe give them a health multiplier of 99. Right, so... But... He spawned in a bunch of sword statues right here. Let's see if he's gonna do his follow-up attack. Alright, so yeah, as you guys can see right there, he immediately does his follow-up attack as he hits those enemies, which is pretty nice. How do we maximize that follow-up attack as much as possible? So yeah, basically if you set his priority to last, he will keep on hitting new enemies, and that follow-up attack will keep on proccing. The follow-up attack is full AoE, by the way, so that's very good about that. But the problem here, I think, is his DPS is not as efficient. But yeah, basically, I think if you set his priority to last, he should be doing the follow-up attack most of the time. Or is he? So he's hitting these new enemies right here, but he's not doing the follow-up attack because they're not surviving. So they also have to survive his attack, otherwise it won't proc. The ability does actually give him some more damage. Upon activation, damage plus 200% for the attack. Sinister Sanctum cleaves enemies upon hit, damage plus 1% for each kill during Sinister Sanctum. So he can get an increase of up to 30% here. So his DPS is now at 80,000 from, I believe, 60,000 DPS. Now, Gojo's DPS actually, without using his ability, is only 53,000. So yeah, this is actually pretty good. 80,000 DPS because he got a buff from that Sinister Sanctum right there. So that's pretty nice, all things considered. He also does do a burn, by the way. So gains the fire element, attacks inflict burn for 30% of this unit's damage. And then also Divine Flames does give him an extra plus 40% damage, which is pretty nice. And he does also become immune to status effects right here. Now, what are my thoughts on this unit? I think this unit's actually pretty good. By the way, if I was to place, for example, the king right here, or a Skull Knight, he will actually be buffing that character as well. So if I place down the king right here, he will get buffed by 30%. So that means units like the king will actually have pretty good pairing with characters like Sukuna. So if you don't have a Monarch Sukuna, maybe you can use it as a buff. Alright, so actually, I finally figured out what this character does. Basically, let me actually spawn in a bunch of enemies right here. So a bunch of sword statues right here. I'm gonna spawn them in. Now, basically, what's pretty nice about this unit, right, is right now, take a look at his DPS. His DPS is 80,000, right? His follow-up is basically going to double that because his follow-up doesn't reduce his damage. So his follow-up is going to be another 450,000 damage. So if we set it, so basically, if you want to be able to make the most use out of him, what I've noticed and what other people has also gathered as well is you basically need to be hitting enemies that can withstand his attack. So essentially, in the hardest game modes where the enemies have tons of HP, like over 1 million, when he could, constantly be attacking them and them not getting one-shotted, that's when that follow-up attack will keep on reapplying. Right now, the enemies are getting one-shotted outside of bosses, but as you guys can see right here, if there's new enemies that can withstand his attacks, he keeps on applying that follow-up attack, as you guys can see right there. And the DPS is essentially going to be double what you're seeing right here. So as long as his follow-up attack is being used, his DPS is going to be ×2. So it's going to be around 160,000 DPS, and that's not counting the burn that he's doing. So he's also doing burn with his normal attack, and then his cleave will also do bleed. So it's going to be really, really high, and it's probably going to be close to 200,000. Now, I don't know really if how accurate this screenshot or this calculation is, but apparently his DPS, as long as his follow-ups are working, is going to be somewhere around 200,000. That's all I know right now. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, it's gonna be around 200,000. The balancer basically confirmed that yeah, his DPS is gonna be over 200,000. But this is only and only if his follow-up is proccing. But again, as you can see right here, the follow-up is not an issue as long as you are in a game mode where the enemies are strong enough to withstand your follow-up attacks, which is tournaments, maybe boss events if you're doing boss events. What else? Sorry, not boss events, tournaments, dungeons, basically any game mode where the enemies have enough HP to withstand his attack, because honestly, you wouldn't even need him to do follow-ups if the enemies aren't strong enough to not get one-shotted. Why would you need follow-up attacks if the enemies are getting one-shotted? It's genuinely pointless. But yeah, he does so much DPS, it's basically over 200k. This unit is very broken. If you add to that, he also does have the ability to buff curse units with his familiar, so you can use him with someone like Skull Knight. So Skull Knight will get an additional 30% damage because Skull Knight is curse. That's actually pretty nice. That's very nice. He is 100% worth it to get Monarch in my opinion, and I probably would get a Monarch on him if I have enough rerolls because this unit is hella broken. Yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's it, and peace out everybody. Peace out.